You've all heard me talk about My Pillow and Mike Lindell and how his pillows have literally changed my life. Go to mypillow.com and click on the Radio Listeners Square. There you'll find deep discounts on all My Pillow products, including the Giza Dream bed sheets. Don't forget to use the promo code Carter. Well, it looks like now we're in a fight for our ability to speak freely in America. I never thought it would come to this day. But I want to talk to you a little bit about what that means. And I want to share with you some stories, about why we need to continue to move forward in the right way, And none of us, the 75 million people in this country that voted for President Trump or believe in America first, you are not terrorists, as the Washington Post and the New York Times and Biden and others are trying to make you out to be. You are not terrorists. But I want to talk to you about why this is so important, why right now it is going to be reliant upon all of us to do the right thing, folks, to do the right thing and to find a way to fight back for our Constitution and our Bill of Rights and our nation the right way. The right way. Before I get to that, I want to talk to you about a company and organization that I absolutely believe in. If you're anything at all like the millions of other frustrated Americans looking for an alternative to that other senior organization, and want to support an organization that takes responsible action, then join AMAC. And AMAC offers an alternative to just about every benefit that AARP offers, but without the liberal agenda. And we know how dangerous that is. AMAC stands up for constitutional rights, and it fights back against reckless government spending, against ever-expanding scope of the federal government, for small businesses and secure borders. I stand with AMAC, and I hope that you will too. I encourage you to join today at amac.us/Carter. That's amac.us/Carter, amac.us/CARTER. The benefits of membership are great, but the cause is even greater. Join today at amac.us/Carter. Talking about AMAC and its support for small businesses, I do have some breaking news before I head into, which is our deep dive discussion on what is happening to our country and the fundamental dangers that we are facing as Americans. I want to talk to you about a business that I think all of you have heard about. It's the Atlas Gym. This is in New Jersey. Governor Phil Murphy has gone after this gym. Atlas Gym has refused to abide by these ridiculous restrictions being placed on it because of COVID. It has resulted in more than $1.2 million in fines to the gym for refusing to lock down in recent months. And even when they opened back up, the gym owner who I spoke to, Frank, today, and I don't want to say his name incorrectly. I want to make sure that I say it right, but I spoke with Frank today. He's in Belmar, New Jersey. And right now, Frank has told me that his gym, the Atlas Gym, that the New Jersey government basically went into his business account, his bank account, and took all of the money in his account, everything, left them broke. He didn't come on the show right now with me because he has to speak with his attorneys first. But I spent all morning talking to him, and I was stunned to hear that they went this far. I mean, I was actually stunned to hear how far it went. Now, I don't want to get this wrong. He was Frank Trumbetti. So Frank Trumbetti told me, he is the owner of the Atlas Gym in New Jersey, said that the government went into his bank account and basically wiped them clean. He has not been charging fees for people who come in, gym membership. He's basically, since April, allowed people to come in based on donations. So people have come through the gym. Since then, he actually told me over 105,000 people have come into his gym. None have contracted COVID. They have very stringent cleaning regulations and distance separation at the gym, didn't matter. It didn't matter. They took all of his money. They're fining him. We are really living in unheard of times, people. And I'm going to tell you something. Now I'm going to go back to the point that I'm trying to make here. What we saw happen on Capitol Hill was devastating. You know, we're seeing anger in our country like we've never seen before. Although this summer, we saw cities burn. We saw Democrats back groups like Antifa and Black Lives Matter. And they were out in the streets in Seattle, in Portland, in Kenosha, all across the country, in Chicago. And they were fine with it. In fact, even Kamala Harris came out, you know, the new vice president-elect, and she pushed to raise bail money for people that participated in the riots that burned down some of our cities and small businesses. Right? That was all okay. That was social justice. But when what happened on Capitol Hill, which was absolutely wrong, but we've seen people do the same thing in Ohio, at the state capitol in Ohio, social justice riots that took over the Capitol there, social justice riots all over the place, 30 people dead this summer in rioting. What happened? Who was held responsible? Did the FBI all of a sudden call everybody in Antifa, everybody, we're going to go after you, you're domestic terrorists, anybody right now, people I know, Americans, good Americans, small business owners, people who have farms, people who believe in freedom, people who believe in liberty are scared of talking on their own phone. They're scared of wearing a MAGA shirt. They're afraid of saying that they supported President Trump. 75 million people. Folks, 75 million Americans. We are not terrorists. I want to read to you something. And first, let me play Glenn Greenwald. I have a lot of respect for Glenn Greenwald. He left The Intercept. He is a phenomenal reporter. He's very much a libertarian, but I want you to hear what he has to say. We don't always agree on everything, but we agree on this.
Secondly, they are explicitly saying that they believe that domestic terrorism, so this war on terror, is not going to be directed at foreign non-state actors or terrorist groups or foreign countries like China or Iran or Russia. It's going to be directed inward, is the greatest threat to national security. And we've talked about this before, that this is what they're likely going to do because they have been focused for so long. Media outlets have, the Democratic Party has, on Donald Trump and increasing fear levels about him. That's been the key to their profits and their power. What will happen once he's gone? The strategy has always been clear: to inflate the risk of what they call white supremacist terrorism, which increasingly means nothing more than being a Trump supporter, and then treating people in the United States who fall into that category the way you treat terrorists. You monitor them, you surveil them, you restrain them, you detain them.
They set the stage during the Obama administration. We showed it to you. Do you think all the Russia stories, they weren't just about President Trump? It was about how the government, how the Obama administration weaponized the FBI, weaponized the intelligence agencies. This wasn't about operating on our enemies overseas. They were weaponizing these agencies against Americans. They were illegally spying on Americans. We know that for a fact. Carter Page was illegally spied on. What Glenn Greenwald is saying is true, and it's horrifying. It is horrifying that we are at this point in history in the United States of America, that we are literally watching our civil liberties disappearing before our very eyes. But I want to warn you about something. This is our path forward. We cannot, as a friend of mine told me, and as the producer of this show said, we cannot get emotional and lose sight of what we need to do and how we need to do this. Do not react. That is what they want. Do not go out in the streets and cause violence. We aren't like that. That isn't how conservatives operate. And I don't want to hear the word right-wing extremists anymore, because what they are trying to do is paint everybody a broad brush. I mean, I might as well be a terrorist, right? I mean, I was out here. I did the stories on, I exposed them. I exposed Andy McCabe. I exposed Samantha Powers, Susan Rice, Biden, Obama, John Brennan, James Clapper, John Solomon, and I both. And others out there who did the same. We exposed them for what they are. We exposed them for how the malfeasance that was happening inside the FBI. Shame on the Department of Justice for not doing anything. Thank God we had some members of Congress with dignity that were willing to tell the truth, that were willing to expose it. Thank God. But let me tell you something. If there are groups out there, if there are people out there listening to this right now, and you think you are going to be able to succeed against people like them with violence, you will not. You will not succeed. What will happen is Pandora's box will open, and these people that are in power now will seize all power. They will be monitoring you left and right. You will give them every excuse to come in and make arrests. You think I'm joking? I'm not. This is not an over-exaggeration. And nobody should do it anyways. Not at all. There is a way. We are Americans. We have a Constitution and a Bill of Rights. And I know you feel like the rug has been ripped out from underneath you. I know you feel that you are being targeted by the left, because you are being targeted by the left. So am I. But we have to use common sense here. And we have to stay unified. And not allow ourselves to be dragged into something we will not be able to get out of. We don't want to see bloodshed. If you don't like what's happening, let it be known peacefully. Maybe nobody shows up to the inauguration. I don't know. Nobody shows up. Whatever. Just turn around. We can fight this in a different way. We can do it differently. We don't need to fall into this trap, because that's exactly what it is. They are telling you exactly what they are going to do to you. I mean, I can't even believe what I'm seeing here. I mean, it's terrifying to me. And I'm going to go through some of those. First. But first, I want to tell you about something that I also believe is very important. You know, as a small business, we're always thinking like, what are the products that we really, really want to get out there for the American people and that they're really going to believe in, because I believe in it? Well, I'm going to tell you this. It's home title theft, and it can ruin you financially if someone can do it. Here's how it happens. The legal titles to our homes are kept online where they can be hacked. Seriously, we know that can happen right now. A cyber thief finds your home's title, forges your signature on a quit claim deed. Can you imagine that? Stating you sold your home to him or her. Then they take the loans out against your home until your equity's all gone. You're not protected by insurance. I didn't even know that was the case. Your bank or common identity theft programs. Can you believe that? Home Title Lock, it actually protects you. And in the unlikely event that you become a victim of title theft while a member, Home Title Lock will spend up to $250,000 in legal fees to help restore your home's title. Go to HomeTitleLock.com and register your address to see if you've already become a victim. I certainly hope not. Then use code RADIO, that's RADIO, for 30 free days of protection. That's code RADIO at HomeTitleLock.com. Got to do that. You've got to do that. I want you to listen right here to Senator Cruz asking Jack Dorsey if Twitter can influence elections.
Mr. Dorsey, does Twitter have the ability to influence elections?
No.
You don't believe Twitter has any ability to influence elections?
No, we are one part of a spectrum of communication channels that people have.
So you're testifying to this committee right now that Twitter, when it silences people, when it censors people, when it blocks political speech, that has no impact on elections?
People have choice of other communication channels with which...
Not if they don't hear information. If you don't think you have the power to influence elections, why do you block anything?
Well, we have policies that are focused on making sure that more voices on the platform are possible. We see a lot of abuse and harassment, which ends up silencing people and having them leave from the platform.
Jack Dorsey is a liar. And Jack Dorsey, along with Mark Zuckerberg and others, big social media, have lied to the American public and have silenced people's voices. And they support one political party over another. And we know that. And now they're actually going after Senator Cruz and Senator Josh Hawley. And it's unimaginable what these senators are facing. They have every right in the United States of America, the America that I know, the America that my father in World War II fought in the South Pacific for, that my grandfather, who was literally in the Rainbow Brigade during World War I know, it's so crazy. They were just so much older. In World War I fought for, the one that my husband was blinded for, that America, the same America that our best friend died for. That America allows people to speak freely. That's the America that we have fought for. That's our liberty, folks. Do you see what is happening here? Do you see how slowly our liberties have been eroded? And we just, like sheeple, we're just, okay. I'm still trying to answer. You know what? We just sent an email to the CDC. Hopefully I'll have it on SaraACarter.com. But I'm trying to figure this out. I had COVID. My whole family did. We went on lockdown. My husband, me, my daughter went on lockdown. Didn't infect anyone else. Of course, we did everything the right way. We're feeling great now. No problem. It was bad, but it was bad. It was just not horrible. It was like, I was sick for a few days. And then I lost my sense of smell. Actually, that was kind of a good thing around my little Chihuahua because she has terrible breath. Now it's coming back. But the thing is, I know I'm trying to be a little funny here, but this is a very serious situation. How is it that, okay, I have COVID, I'm immune to it now, I can't give it, I can't receive it, but I have to wear a mask? I just want to know, why do I have to wear, maybe I have to wear a mask still. Why are we wearing a mask? If we got the vaccine, why is someone, I want to know the facts. Why? Because right now it's not just about the masks, right? Our synagogues are closed. The majority of churches are closed. Our kids are learning from home. They're not going to school. We've seen a rise in suicides. We've seen people isolated, not being able to be together. We saw that horrible video from Canada. This is not even a national issue anymore. This is a global human crisis, right? What about that video from Canada where, the Canadian family, 6 of them get together, they're enjoying, time together, and the neighbor calls authorities to say 6 people are in the home and turns them in. And there is, literally people being dragged out of a home like they're criminals, with people screaming and people on the floor and people getting arrested. What is that? Would you be, honestly, are you okay with that? Are you okay with your neighbor turning you in because you had too many people at your house from your own family? I want you to think about that. I want you to think about where we're going. I want you to think about what we're doing to each other. And I want you to think about the fact that you can't even pick up a phone right now and make a phone call. Let's say if you're a supporter of Trump, without fearing that somebody from the FBI or something is listening in on the call and will misconstrue everything that you said or try to set you up. We saw what happened to all of Trump's allies. We saw what happened to General Flynn. You look at what's happening to President Trump. Do you think anyone, do you think that you are going to be able to get away with anything? Like if somebody targets you, that's it. We're done. They can say whatever they want. These people have no bounds. Obviously, now it all makes sense. It makes sense why John Brennan kept tweeting, why they kept laughing at us, why, William Barr just kept saying over and over again, oh, we're going to get them. We got the John Durham report. It's coming out. They were just basically laughing at us. They were playing us. But now we've got to be smarter than them. Now we have to be smarter than them. We can't play their game because you are not terrorists. Your housewives, your husbands, your fathers, your brothers and sisters, your Americans, your farmers. You work at CVS, you work at Safeway, you work at Albertsons. What the heck? Your police officers, your military. We're Americans. We are not Hezbollah. We are not the terrorists, Washington Post. Shame on you for running an editorial like that. Shame on you for treating Americans like that. Shame on you for your disinformation campaign. Shame on you for being repugnant. Shame on you for lying to the American people and making the American people your enemy. It's disgusting. It is unheard of. But guess what? We know what you are doing. We can see right through the leftist agenda. We are going to support the lawmakers that stood by America's side and were not cowards. And the ones that were cowards, we're going to vote out. They can go someplace else, get a job somewhere else. And we are not going to fall into your trap. I want you to listen to Mike Pompeo here. And amazing. This is on wokeness. I want you to hear what he had to say because it's very important.
Today, I read that some VOA employees didn't want me to speak here today. I'm sure it was only a handful. They didn't want the voice of American diplomacy to be broadcast on the Voice of America. Think about that for just a moment. Look, we're all part of institutions with duties and responsibilities higher and bigger and more important than any one of us individually. But this kind of censorial instinct is dangerous. It's morally wrong. Indeed, it's against your statutory mandate here at VOA. Censorship, wokeness, political correctness, it all points in one direction: authoritarianism cloaked as moral righteousness. It's similar to what we're seeing at Twitter and Facebook and Apple and on too many university campuses today. It's not who we are. It's not who we are as Americans. And it's not what Voice of America should be. It's time that we simply put wokeism to sleep. And you can lead the way. You all know. That's why you came here.
It's time to put wokeism to sleep. Put it to sleep. This is so dangerous. So dangerous. And by the way, Voice of America has been plagued with problems. You all know I've had Michael Pack on here. He was appointed to kind of clean house at Voice of America. I've been talking to people behind the scenes at Voice of America. Do you know how many people from other countries have come in here? And now let me just play you the clip. Let's play the clip of Michael Pack, and then we'll talk about it.
It's not the fault of these employees of the VOA or elsewhere that they were improperly cleared. It's the fault of our agency. But as a result of that, we don't know whether over these 10 years, foreign intelligence agencies have penetrated the Voice of America or the other organizations. And they've been a target for foreign intelligence from the very beginning. It's a natural place for foreign intelligence to be. I just talked to a senior executive at the Voice and previously someone at RFERL, and they acknowledge it as a constant because it's a good place to put a spy if you're right. Chinese or Iranian or Pakistani intelligence. You know, you can have access to the State Department, you have access to lots of material, you can influence broadcasts back to your home country. And there have been high-profile examples of that over our history.
Exactly. There's been a number of problems with Voice of America. And now you can see what's been going on in our country. This is the reason why. Look, President Trump exposed the establishment. They can't handle it. They don't want you to see the great and powerful Oz behind the curtain. They don't want you to see that. They want to keep things in Washington the same way. The establishment will do everything. Now we know this for sure. Before it was just an idea. Oh, the establishment, the deep state. Look at what they have done. Look at what has happened to our country. Look at where we're at. Look at where we're going. Michael Pack is right. Mike Pompeo was right. We got to put this wokeism to sleep. And I'm going to tell you why. Because slowly, as they've usurped our social media, and I'm so grateful for Senator Cruz to hold Jack Dorsey in, like this, hold him on the line, make him answer those questions. But I want you to hear Juliet Kayyem. She's from Harvard, folks. I want you to hear what she is saying about President Trump.
It's important to call it terrorism because then it gets your mind frame in the counterterrorism. Like, how do we beat this? Because it's not just violence. What the president does, whether it's the Michigan governor or CNN anchors or whoever, is he targets people for political gain. That's what this was about. It's for him to remain in power. That's a specific kind of violence. And once you can get your head, as I was like, we're far from our fourth grade civics classes where the president was not the leader of a terrorist organization.
Wow. And by the way, the Michigan governor, who basically terrorized Michigan, not like a terrorist, but she was just like, nobody's going out of their houses. Everybody's doing this. Everybody's doing that. President Trump was talking about freedom. But let me explain to you what this Harvard person is doing. I was talking to someone, a good friend of mine, somebody I have a lot of respect for. I'm not going to say their name right here because I didn't get permission to talk, about them publicly. But they were talking about Saul Alinsky, and I know you probably all heard this, and rules for radicals. The 13 rules for radicals. Remember, this is somebody that Hillary Clinton studied under. This is something that someone that President Obama believes in. This is a big deal. And nobody ever really talks about it. We hear about it, but we don't really talk about it. The 13th rule on Saul Alinsky's rules for radicals. This is how you go after your enemy. You pick the target. This is rule number 13. You freeze it, you personalize it, and you polarize it. This is exactly what they are trying to do with everyone that was close to Trump. First, they're doing it with President Trump, and they're doing it around. It's not about the establishment. It's about ostracizing people so that all of a sudden you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't want to tell anybody that I was a MAGA supporter. Let me take my Trump flag down and hide it. They're ostracizing. They're giving words. They're dehumanizing. They're dehumanizing Americans. People, listen to how dangerous this is. Do not buy this for 1 second. Have the courage to stand up and say, no, you're talking about an American. That is not a terrorist. The actions of those Americans on Capitol Hill were disgusting and wrong. But there was not some big terrorist organization run by President Trump that made that happen. That is a lie. And if someone is telling you that, they are lying to you. They are lying to you. But I'm going to tell you what they're trying to do is they're trying to make terrorists. They want to have a reason. Glenn Greenwald said it perfectly. They need an enemy. They need an enemy. And now that President Trump is gone, they are going to make Americans the enemy. Domestic terrorism. 4 years with President Trump, we didn't even get into a war. Did President Trump make the left an enemy? Did President Trump say, I got to listen in on your phone calls? No. Who did that? Obama. President Obama was the one that spied on journalists, expanded the tools inside the intelligence community. So, by the way, they can spy on your attorneys, on your doctors. It doesn't matter. What? You think you're free from that? No. Even priests, even clergy. Did you know that they did that? Do you know they expanded the rules so that they could do that? President Trump didn't do that. President Obama did that. How many phone lines did President Obama's DOJ take and tap of the Associated Press? Over 200 and something lines, right? They were listening in on reporters' conversations. What about James Rosen? They were not only listening in on James Rosen at Fox News when he was working there, they were listening in on James Rosen's family. And what about me, John Solomon, Sean Hannity, Sebastian Gorka, Dan Bongino? I can keep going on and on. Laura Ingraham. Guess who was watching our social media? Ambassador Marie Yovanovitch from Ukraine. We know that because of a whistleblower inside the State Department that blew the whistle on her with Judicial Watch. Thank God for Judicial Watch and Tom Fitton. Thank God for them. They are trying to create a war in our nation amongst the people. President Trump wasn't dividing people. Did you hear? Listen to what they are saying. Listen to what Hillary Clinton just said and Nancy Pelosi. They are equating every MAGA supporter, every supporter of President Trump with white supremacy. You know that is a lie. That is a lie. That is a lie. That is a lie. It is a lie, folks. It is a lie. First of all, Ivanka Trump is a devout Orthodox Jew, her and her husband and their children. So Donald Trump's grandchildren are Jewish. Secondly, Candace Owens and a number of great Black leaders have come through the MAGA movement to speak out against this racial divide. The only reason why Nancy Pelosi and Hillary Clinton and others would say that is so that people who don't know, people who aren't aware, people who watch MSNBC and CNN all the time will see a MAGA person or see a MAGA hat and target that person and say, oh, you must be a white supremacist or you must support white supremacy. They don't know. They don't know what MAGA is because for 4 years, the media and social media has been used to develop a disinformation campaign against the president of these United States and the people who voted for him. This is not just about Trump, folks. This is about you. You. They are looking at you, not President Trump. They are sending a message that you are not allowed to pick your president. They will. The Cheneys, the Bushes. You think this is all about the leftists? This is about the rhinos, too, and the establishment. By the way, I think they're all the same now. I am disgusted, really, with what's happened. They're all the same. They all cover for each other. They all line their pockets. It's our tax dollars that pay for them. Guys, you're the boss. You are the boss. Fire them. Fire the cowards that didn't defend you. Just fire them. That's why we have elections. Don't be afraid to stand up for what you believe in, but don't cross the line either. It's not worth it. It is not worth it. It is okay to be angry. It is okay to speak your mind. God help anyone that tells me in my country where so many of my family members have fought for our rights and freedoms that I can't speak my mind. You can speak your mind. Speak your mind. Even if I don't like it, you can speak your mind. But we should be able to have a conversation, and we shouldn't be going after each other. We have to do this the right way, folks. There's a cut I really want you to hear of Jim Jordan. But before I get there, I just want to remind you again about HomeTitleLock.com. And I need you to register your address there to see if you're already a victim. I certainly hope you're not. Just go register your address at HomeTitleLock.com. Then use code RADIO for 30 free days of protection. That's code RADIO at HomeTitleLock.com. I want to play a clip. This is Jim Jordan speaking on the House floor Wednesday. You need to hear this.
This is scary. This is frightening what's happening. With less than 1 hour of debate, the Democrats bring a rule to the floor that says this: you can say anything you want about the President of the United States of America. No rules of decorum about what you say about the leader of our country. In that rule, they say if you don't wear a mask, you can get fined. No regard to whether you've already had COVID, whether you've had the vaccination, your mask slips down a little bit, you get fined. In a rule with no debate. In this rule, they say you have to walk on the House floor, you have to go through a metal detector. Member of the United States Congress walking on the floor to represent 750,000 people in our district. And fourth, the rule is for the bill that says we should tell the Vice President of the United States to work to remove the President of the United States. I've been here 14 years. I've never seen anything like this. And I do not know where this ends. I do not know where it ends, but it is dangerous where they're taking us. You couple this with what we're seeing with the cancel culture mob out there, I do not know where this takes us. I fear for the First Amendment. I fear for the Second Amendment. I fear for the Bill of Rights. I fear for the Constitution. I do not know where this takes us, but it is scary what they are throwing in a bill that we're going to debate for less than an hour, making these kind of changes. I hope they reconsider.
He's right. Now more than ever, we have to be vigilant. We can't be asleep. We have to be awake. We have to tell the truth. We have to speak up. We have to say, nah, sorry, you're not going to do that to me. No, sorry, we're not going to allow you to turn neighbor against neighbor. Don't turn in your neighbor if they have someone at their house for a dinner, a family member. Don't do it. You don't need to do that. There are things that we can do as Americans that we can guarantee our freedoms for one another, that we can fight for one another. You know, I used to think, oh my gosh, how did Jim Jones, if you people don't know, Guyana tragedy, took all these people to Guyana. He was a crazed lunatic, got all these people to believe that, you know, he was like some kind of god. And they all committed suicide and gave their children poison. Basically gave them poison, and they all died. They all died in Guyana, and they killed some congressional members that went there to inspect what was going on. How did people fall for that? How was it so easy to stay quiet? How was it so easy to do that? How did that happen? And then I read this piece, and I've got to look it up right now, but it's Dennis Prager, and it was an incredible, incredible piece called The Good German. You know, before I let you go, I really want to read you a piece of this because I really think that if anybody's out there, you need to look it up. It's by Dennis Prager, and it's I Now Better Understand the Good German. And he's talking about World War II. And he's talking about those Germans that remained quiet. Not the ones that were helping the Nazis and the Germans who hurt the Jews, but the ones who did nothing. The ones who did nothing. Why did they do that? He says, the ease with which tens of millions of Americans have accepted irrational, unconstitutional, and unprecedented police state type restrictions on their freedoms, including even the freedom to make a living, has been, to understate the case, sobering. In a very different way, we are seeing the quiet creep into America. We are afraid to speak up, many of us. We don't want to lose our jobs. But many small businesses have been shuttered. There are people out there like the Atlas Gym facing bankruptcy, facing a government that has restricted their freedoms, that has taken away their jobs. We've seen our children locked in our homes, unable to go to school. We've seen a virus come here from China, and we still don't even have all the answers. We've seen our president now being targeted by an opposition party again, and being called a terrorist. We are living in very strange and dangerous and frightening times. I mean, literally, I feel like I have had nightmares all week, but I had to take a step back. We all have to take a step back, and we have to reassess what is happening here and what we need to do as Americans before this gets out of control, before we create a history that we will be ashamed of. We have to fight for those essential liberties and freedoms that our Constitution and our Bill of Rights have granted us. And we have to ask those lawmakers who are there that represent us to do their job. We have to do the right thing, folks. We have to stick together. We cannot abandon one another now. Now more than ever, we cannot abandon one another. I want to leave, though, on a very strange and hopefully maybe a little bit of a humorous note. It's hard to believe that Representative Eric Swalwell has been appointed, on this whole impeachment thing. Considering his relationship with a Chinese spy, considering the fact that, that Nancy Pelosi, for one reason or another, feels indebted to Eric Swalwell. I mean, it's a huge position to be on the House Intelligence Committee. And when he got on it, he was a very young congressional member. So we don't know what's going on there. We just know, he had a relationship with Fang Fang. And, let's play this. This is a Swalwell fart impeachment 1.0. Let's do this.
Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election. And the complaint that I've heard from Republicans all last week was that you don't have anyone who heard the call.
Could we please play that just one more time?
Chris, so far, the evidence is uncontradicted that the president used taxpayer dollars to ask the Ukrainians to help him cheat an election.
So now we're waiting for Swalwell fart impeachment 2.0. 2.0. Look, guys, big tech is it's censoring conservative speech, and the Democrats will be controlling the White House and Congress. I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't know what's going to happen to my YouTube page. I don't know what's going to happen to my podcast. I don't know what's going to happen to my Twitter account, my website. I am going to continue to bring the truth. I am not going to be afraid to speak that truth, but I got to tell you, we've got to be ready. We got to be ready to face those challenges. So I need you, and I want all of you to sign up for my newsletter, because that way we can stay in touch. That way we can continue to get information to you from SaraACarter.com and from the podcast. I promise you, I will not go away. I will do everything I can to continue this fight. My friend Dan Bongino is doing the same. Everybody is doing their part. We are all doing our part to continue the fight. Now we need you to do your part, and that is by staying informed. So please sign up for my newsletter at SaraACarter.com. Go to SaraACarter.com to sign up for my newsletter. Please subscribe to The Sara Carter Show at Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Today, I'm joined by Rebecca Weber, the CEO of the Association for Mature American Citizens. It's also known as AMAC. The most important question, I think, for so many people out there is, how much does AMAC membership cost? What does it cost the regular consumer?
Yeah, so for $16 a year, okay, or less, you can join at a 1, 3, or 5 year membership. You get a couple of things. You get the benefits. You get a great subscription to a magazine. So for $16, you're going to receive a bi-monthly magazine. But your voice is now going to be heard in Washington. We take our marching orders from you. If you stand for faith, family, freedom, if you believe in the Constitution, if you believe in the greatness of America, if you believe in individual freedoms and everything you just said, Sara, $16 is not a lot of money to join the 2.3 million members that are really fighting hard to ensure that America remains the best country in the world.
Rebecca, thanks so much for being with me today. I'm honored to have you and AMAC as a sponsor for the Sara Carter Show. For more information, folks, visit amac.us/Carter.